A system of logic, a priori and a posteriori, abacus logic, abduction, abductive validation, academia analytica, accuracy and precision, ad capandum, ad hoc hypothesis, ad hominem, affine logic, affirming the antecedent, affirming the consequent, algebraic logic, ambiguity, analysis, analytic reasoning, analytic synthetic distinction, anangin, anecdotal evidence, antecedent, anti-predicament, anti-psychologism, antinomai, apothesize, appeal to probability, appeal to ridicule, archive for mathematical logic, arche, argument, argument by example, argument form, argument from authority, argument map, argumentation ethics, argumentation theory, argumentum ad baculum, argumentum e contrario, Ariadne's thread, Aristotelian logic, Aristotle, association for informal logic and critical thinking, association for logic, language and information, association for symbolic logic, attacking faulty reasoning, Australasian association for logic, axiom, independence, axiom of reducibility, axiomatic system, axiomatization, backward chaining, Barkin formula, begging the question, Begriffsschrift, belief bias, belief revision, Benson mates, Bertrand Russell Society, biconditional elimination, biconditional introduction, bivalence and related laws, Blue and Brown books, Boole's syllogistic, Boolean algebra, Boolean network, C. Canon, canonical form, Cartesian circle, case-based reasoning, categorical logic, categories, category mistake, Katuscoti, Center for Critical Thinking, circular definition, circular reasoning, circular reference, circular reporting, circumscription, classical logic, clocked logic, cognitive bias, co-interpretability, college logic, colorless green ideas sleep furiously, combinational logic, combinatory logic, Combs method, common knowledge, commutativity of, conjunction, completeness, composition of causes, compossibility, comprehension, computability logic, concept, conceptualism, condensed attachment, conditional disjunction, conditional probability, conditional proof, conditional quantifier, confirmation bias, conflation, confusion of the inverse, conjunction elimination, conjunction fallacy, conjunction introduction, conjunctive normal form, connexive logic, connotation, consequent, consistency, constructive dilemma, contra principium agantem non est disputandum, contradiction, contrapositive, control logic, conventionalism, converse Barkin formula, correlative-based fallacies, cotolerance, cotolerance sequence, counterexample, counterfactual conditional, counterintuitive, cretialism, credibility, criteria of truth, critical creative thinking and behavioral research laboratory, critical pedagogy, critical reading, critical thinking, critique of pure reason, Curry's paradox, cyclic negation, D. Dagfinn Fallsdale, Der Interpretationer, De Morgan's laws, decidability, decidophobia, decision-making, decisional balance sheet, deductive closure, deduction theorem, deductive fallacy, deductive reasoning, default logic, defeasible reasoning, definable set, definite fallacy, definition, definitions of logic, degree of truth, denying the antecedent, denying the correlative, deontic logic, description, description logic, descriptive fallacy, deviant logic, dharmakirti, diagrammatic reasoning, dialectica, dialectica space, dialetheism, dichotomy, difference, digital timing diagram, digniga, dilemma, disjunction elimination, disjunction, introduction, disjunctive normal form, disjunctive syllogism, dispositional inner current belief, disquotational principle, disoilogoi, division of logic, methodology, and philosophy of science. Don't care term, Donald Davidson, double counting, double negation, double negative, elimination, doxa, drinking the Kool-Aid, L++, ecological fallacy, effective method, elimination rule, emotional reasoning, emotions in decision-making, empty name, Encyclopedia of the Philosophical Sciences, end term, engineered language, entailment, entitative graph, enumerative definition, Epicureanism, epilogism, epistemic closure, equisatisfiability, erotetics, eternal statement, etymological fallacy, European summer, school in logic, language and information, evidence, evolutionary logic, exclusive nor, exclusive or, existential fallacy, existential graph, existential quantification, expert, explanandum, explanation, explanatory power, extension, extensional context, extensional, definition, FA, fact, fallacies of definition, fallacy, fallacy of distribution, fallacy of four terms, fallacy of quoting out of context, fallacy of the four terms, false attribution, false dilemma, false equivalence, false premise, fictionalism, finitary relation, finite model, property, first-order logic, first-order predicate calculus, first-order resolution, Fish-style calculus, fluidic logic, fluidics, formal fallacy, formal ontology, formal system, formalism, forward chaining, free logic, free variables and bound variables, function and concept, fuzzy logic, game semantics, Ganto's geometry of interaction, Giles Gaston Granger, Gong Sun Long, grammaticality, greedy reductionism, Grundlage und der Mathematik, HPO formalism, halo effect, Handbook of Automated Reasoning, Hanlon's razor, Hayes generalization, Herbrandization, Hetuchakra, hating, algebra, higher-order predicate, higher-order thinking, historians, fallacy, historical fallacy, history of logic, history of the function concept, hold come what may, homunculus argument, horn clause, Hume's fork, Hume's principle, hypothetical syllogism, identity, identity of indiscernibles, idolaphory, idola specus, idola theatra, idolatribus, if by whiskey, IFF, illicit major, illicit minor, illuminationism, immutable truth, imperative logic, implicant, inclusion, incomplete comparison, inconsistent comparison, inconsistent triad, independence-friendly logic, Indian logic, inductive logic programming, inference procedure, inference rule, inferential role semantics, infinitary logic, infinite regress, infinity, informal fallacy, informal logic, inquiry, insolubilia, institute for logic, language and computation, intellectual responsibility, intended interpretation, intention, intentional fallacy, intentional logic, intentional statement, intentional logic, intermediate logic, interpretability logic, interpretive discussion, introduction rule, introduction to mathematical philosophy, intuitionistic linear logic, intuitionistic logic, invalid proof, inventors, paradox, inverse consequences, irreducibility, is logic empirical, isagogia, Ivor Grattan Guinness, J. Jacobus Navarros, J. Antibata, Jingle-jangle fallacies, John Corcoran, John W. Dawson, Jr., Journal of Applied Non-Classical Logics, Journal of Automated Reasoning, Journal of Logic, Language and Information, Journal of Logic and Computation, Journal of Mathematical Logic, Journal of Philosophical Logic, Journal of Symbolic Logic, Judgment, Judgmental Language, Just So Story, K. Khan or Map, Kinetic Logic, Knowing and the Known, Kripke Semantics, Kurt Gödel Society, L. Language, proof and logic, lateral thinking, law of excluded middle, law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of non-contradiction, law of thought, laws of form, laws of logic, leap of faith, lemma, lexical definition, linear logic, linguistic and philosophical, investigations, linguistics and philosophy, list of fallacies, list of incomplete proofs, list of logic journals, list of paradoxes, logic, logic lane, logic spectacles, logic gate, logic in China, logic in Islamic philosophy, logic of class, logic of information, logic programming, logica universalis, logica nova, logical analysis and history of philosophy, logical investigations, logical methods in computer science, logical abacus, logical argument, logical assertion, logical atomism, logical biconditional, logical conditional, logical conjunction, logical constant, logical disjunction, logical equality, logical equivalence, logical extreme, logical form, logical harmony, logical holism, logical NAND, logical NOR, logical operator, logical quality, logical truth, logicism, logico-linguistic modeling, logos, loosely associated statements, lost Tarshi preservation theorem, Ludic fallacy, LWOW Warsaw School of Logic, M. Main contention, major term, Markov's principle, Martin Gardner bibliography, masked man fallacy, material conditional, mathematical fallacy, mathematical logic, meaningless statement, Megarian school, mental model theory of reasoning, Mariology, metacommunication, meta-language, meta-logic, meta-mathematics, meta-syntactic variable, meta-theorem, meta-variable, middle term, minimal logic, minor premise, miscellanea logica, missing dollar riddle, modal fictionalism, modal logic, model theory, modus ponens, modus tollens, moral reasoning, motivated reasoning, moving the goalposts, multigrade predicate, multi-valued logic, multiple conclusion logic, mutatis mutandis, mutual knowledge, mutually exclusive events, Munchausen trilemma, N. Naive set theory, name, narrative logic, natural deduction, natural kind, natural language, necessary and sufficient, necessity and sufficiency, negation, neutrality, nirvana fallacy, Nixon diamond, no true Scotsman, nominal identity, non-Aristotelian logic, non-classical logic, non-monotonic logic, non-rigid designator, non-sequitur, non-ism, non-first-orderizability, Nordic Journal of Philosophical Logic, normal form, Novum Organum, Nyaya Sutras, O. Object language, object of the mind, object theory, Occam's razor, on formally undecidable propositions of Principia Mathematica and related systems, one-sided argument, ontological commitment, open sentence, opinion, opposing viewpoints series, ordered logic, organon, original proof of Gödel's completeness theorem, Osmond Lurie, ostensive definition, outline of logic, overbelief, oxymoron, p. Package deal fallacy, panlogism, paraconsistent logics, parade of horribles, paradox, pars destruens, pars construens, pathetic fallacy, per effes a nefas, persuasive definition, Peter Simons, Philosophia Mathematica, philosophical logic, philosophy of logic, Peirce's law, plural quantification, poisoning the well, polarity item, Polish logic, Polish notation, politician syllogism, polycotomusky, polylogism, polysyllogism, Port Royal logic, possible world, posts lattice, post disputation argument, post hoc ergo propter hoc, posterior analytics, practical syllogism, pragmatic mapping, pragmatic maxim, pragmatic Theory of truth, pramana, pramana samakaya, precising definition, precision questioning, predicable, predicate, predicate abstraction, predicate logic, preferential entailment, pre-intuitionism, prescriptivity, presentism, presupposition, principia mathematica, principle of bivalence, principle of explosion, principle of non-vacuous contrast, principle of sufficient reason, principles of mathematical logic, prior analytics, private eye project, pro hominem, probabilistic logic, network, problem of future contingents, problem of induction, process of elimination, project reason, proof theoretic semantics, proof by assertion, proof theory, propaganda techniques, proposition, propositional calculus, propositional function, propositional representation, propositional variable, prosecutor's fallacy, provability logic, proving too much, prudence, pseudo-philosophy, psychologism, psychologist's fallacy, QED, quantification, quantization, quantum logic, Ramism, rationality, reason, reductio ad absurdum, reference, reflective equilibrium, regression fallacy, regular modal logic, reification, relativist fallacy, irrelevance logic, irrelevant logic, remarks on the foundations of mathematics, retroduction, retrospective determinism, revolutions in mathematics, rhetoric, rigor, a Rolandist pavilionish, round square copula, Rudolf Carnap, rule bank, rule of inference, Arvachev function, CI, solver congruitate, solver veritate, satisfiability, scholastic logic, school of names, science of logic, scientific temper, second-order predicate, segment addition postulate, self-reference, self-refuting idea, self-verifying theories, semantic theory of truth, semantics, sense and reference, sequent calculus, sequential logic, set, 7 types of ambiguity, Sheffer-stroke, ship, athesis, simple non-inferential passage, singular term, situation, situational analysis, skeptic's toolbox, slingshot argument, social software, Socratic questioning, Soku-hai, some remarks on logical form, sophism, sophistical refutations, soundness, source, credibility, source criticism, special case, specialization, speculative reason, spurious relationship, square of opposition, stative, affairs, statement, straight and crooked thinking, straight-face test, straw man, strength, strict conditional, strict implication, strict logic, structural rule, studia logica, studies in logic, grammar and rhetoric, subjective logic, substitution, substructural logic, sufficient condition, sum of logic, sunk costs, supertask, supervaluationism, supposition theory, survivorship bias, syllogism, syllogistic fallacy, symbol, syntactic structures, syntax, synthesis, systems of logic based on ordinals, T-schema, tacit assumption, Tarski's undefinability theorem, tautology, temporal logic, temporal parts, Teorema, term logic, ternary logic, testability, tetralemma, textual case-based reasoning, the false subtlety of the 4 syllogistic figures, the foundations of arithmetic, the geography of thought, the laws of thought, the paradoxes of the infinite, theorem, theoretical definition, theory and decision, theory of justification, theory of obligationists, third cause fallacy, 3 men make a tiger, tolerance, topical, logic, topics, tractatus logico-philosophicus, train of thought, therapia, transferable belief model, transparent intentional logic, tregode, triconic, trilemma, trivial objections, trivialism, truth, truth-bearer, truth claim, truth condition, truth function, truth value, truthiness, truth maker, type theory, type token distinction, ultrafinitism, unification, unifying theories in mathematics, uniqueness quantification, universal logic, universal quantification, univocity, unspoken rule, use-mention distinction, vacuous truth, vagrant predicate, vagueness, validity, valuation-based system, Van Gogh fallacy, Venn diagram, vicious circle principle, Warnier, or diagram, weak-mindedness, well-formed formula, what the tortoise said to Achilles, Willard Van Orman Quine, William Neal, window operator, wisdom of repugnance, witness, Wolfram axiom, word sense, Z.